You can tell me I'm ugly, you can tell me that my personality sucks, but something that I can't change is being Asian, and you came at me on that. There's nothing I can do.
Tammy, you are quite literally my favorite person in the world. Thank you so much for doing the show and for being here.
Of course, I moved a lot of things to be here because it was that important to me.
I love you.
I love you. I love
let's
being
do
here.
this. I want to start off by asking you, you've done a lot over the past year. I mean, you're always doing all the things, but coming off of Paradise, being again someone who's in the public eye, what has life been like now post the show? Have you been, receiving a lot of positive responses, some controversial responses? How has life been?
I feel like with being on TV in general, it's always going to come with the territory of people that are not gonna like everything that you do, which is fine. It definitely wasn't as bad as the first round, but this one, it was pretty good. I mean, a lot more love, a lot more support this time around. I think everyone really got to know me on Paradise compared to the first season that I was on. But yeah, life's been really busy. I've been just busy with work, trying to figure out my projects and what's next for me.
I mean, you've always been someone who stays true to who you are, which I admire so much about you. But coming off of this season, what is something that you've learned about yourself that maybe you didn't know before?
I feel like I always put this tough exterior on because I'm this workaholic, go-getter New Yorker that doesn't take anybody's crap. But with Paradise, I really wanted to open up my heart and just let my walls down and be able to let someone in. And for a minute, even though it was a brief moment, really did feel like I was cared about and that I could care for someone. And that was a huge stepping stone for me because I would have never done that a year ago.
Yeah, and I loved watching your journey. It was so fun watching you, find love in whatever that meant.
Me crying on my birthday.
Yes, on your birthday. It was iconic. And I do want to talk about that moment during the show where you kind of got some heat for essentially doing what a lot of guys get away with. Can you share a little bit about, what I'm referring to and how that impacted you?
Yeah, so we all came to the beach to date people, no one's in a locked relationship unless that conversation was discussed. So I was with Aaron at the time and we had many conversations where we were gonna be open to seeing other people. He saw many other girls while he was on that beach and I'm like, okay, I'll try to venture out. Did the same thing and I was ripped apart. All of his friends were calling me trash bag, all these very provocative names that men tend to call women, and it was just not fair because I'm like, you were just doing the same thing, but I let you have your freedom because that's what we're here to do, and then that also related to when everyone else saw it in the audience, they were siding with him saying that's not right of her to do, but it's is it not right because I'm a female or is it not right because it's truly not the right thing to do? We had multiple conversations stating that we're open to seeing how other relationships work out. He just didn't like it because it was his mortal enemy, which made no sense to me because I'm like, did he run over your dog? I don't get how he's your mortal enemy.
And why do you think that is? Do you think women just in general get more heat when it comes to dating and relationships?
I think there's definitely a double standard with that because I feel like what men do, they're prided on, can get a lot of girls and is a player, but if a girl does it, it's looked down on and we are less than and we just are too easy, but it's essentially the same thing. Why is there a double standard between men and women because of that,
Right. And I appreciate you being so open about it. Something I admire so much about you is how you really advocate for the things you believe in, and you're so willing to open up about even the hardest things on social media.
Yeah.
And I know one of those topics for you has been your journey on The Bachelor and also being one of the only Asian contestants on the show. So now in 2022, where anti-Asian hate is really on the rise, what has that been like for you in seeing the franchise and just also reconciling what's happening in the world as an Asian woman?
It is very frustrating because I feel like people tend to see race as just black and white, and there is many problems between black and white racism 100%, but people don't understand there's many more races out there too that also have similar issues that are not as glamorized or discussed because it's not trending, So when the Stop Asian Hate came out, that actually should have been happening a year ago from when that did happen, because I remember when COVID came out, everyone was targeting Asian people because they thought that we brought this virus over, and there's many cultures in the Asian continent itself, not just Chinese, not just Vietnamese, there's so many, and they were just lumping us onto one, it wasn't fair, and no one was blinking an eye because it wasn't trending, and then being on, the Bachelor franchise, which is primarily a Caucasian show, it's very difficult to try to navigate where I belong in that franchise because I am one of the very few full Asian people on the cast in the last 26 seasons. So it's just not trying to lump myself into, hey, I'm just this Asian cast member. I'm Tammy, I do this and that, and I happen to be Asian as well. And it was just trying to navigate these two worlds where I am this person and people wanted me to be this person because I am Asian, and they wanted me this quaint little Asian girl. And it's just like, there's many people that are in different personalities that have different races, you know? I don't belong into one category just because I look Asian, because I am Asian.
And I know we've talked about that before, right? Like people putting you into a box because of what they expect you to be, or because of stereotypes, like you mentioned. Have you experienced hate directly related to your race?
Oh, 100%.
What was that like?
The name calling, the people saying that like you eat dog, and like it's just very vile things, but like you tend to grow tougher skin with that. And that's actually really sad that I've had to grow tougher skin with that, because this kind of bullying happened since I was in grade school. You know, and then having on a national level, everyone coming at you, it's like, you can tell me I'm ugly, you can tell me that my personality sucks, but something that I can't change is being Asian, and you came at me on that, there's nothing I can do.
And what is the solution? Like, where do you think we can, you know, prevent this hate from spreading?
I think just educating people, you know, and just really being an advocate for it, and just continuing to represent the community very well, and just being yourself, and just telling everyone what it truly is, you know, like we don't eat dog. It's just like these messed up stereotypes that people think. And I don't know why there's so much hatred towards it, but people are always gonna hate no matter what. I think just trying to educate people to shift a little bit would be a huge movement. There are always gonna be people that hate Asian people, unfortunately.
Which is so messed up. But hopefully conversations like this at least bring it into the foreground and lets people know that this is happening. And I love what you said about representation. And I know that was such a big part of your journey on The Bachelor, and also just in all that you do as a badass businesswoman and all the things you're working on. Do you feel like representation is getting better on entertainment franchises like The Bachelor?
Honestly, I've been seeing a huge change in the last 5 years in the entertainment industry in general, with look at Squid Games and Crazy Rich Asians, you know, like all these shows that are only Asian casts, which are viral shows, which we never would have even thought would be on the map 10 years ago. So I think that's a huge change. It's very slow and progressing, but it is progressing, and those are wins that we have to take.
Yeah, and where do you think we go from here? Like, where can, you know, the industry improve when it comes to representation?
I think just casting more varieties of people, you know? How is it that I was the first full Asian person to make it into top 10? You know, that's crazy, you know? So just trying to cast more people, different varieties of people, and not just ticking off, you know, a diversity check mark.
Right, I totally hear that. And from being someone in the public eye, do you feel like people understand the real Tammy?
I think they have a better understanding now after Paradise, but there's still so much to learn about me. I mean, we've had this conversation before where my dream is just to have people see a 360 version of me, because I'm gonna have my lows, I'm gonna have my highs, but that's what makes me who I am.
Totally.
And I truly think that I'll be able to relate to other people if they know a 360 version of me and not just a 180 version.
But what are some of, you know, the other aspects of yourself and your story and your identity that you wish people knew about you?
I think because I don't really let people know, and I'm working on that as well, but like what my upbringing is and why I am the person I am, why I have this grit to me, you know, I think that's really important to figure out why I am the person that I am today as an adult because of the things that I've been through.
Yeah.
And I may be only 26 years old, but I've gone through a lot of things, like we all have.
Yeah.
You know, but just hearing someone's story really helps you understand who they are as a person and why they became this person. And I really am hoping that one day people will be able to hear and know about me more.
Well, let's start here. Let's talk about that story. What were some of the things you went through in your childhood that made you who you are today?
So many people did not know this, but I was kicked out multiple times as a kid, and my parents left me when I was a teenager. So that was really difficult. Like at one point, my lowest low was being laying on the ground, sleeping next to rats in this house where my mom was nowhere to be found, and all I wanted was for her to come home, you know, and I had to provide for myself, and I had no support system, and I had to be my own support system, which is why I'm the strong person that like provides for my family now and like fights for the things that I want, because I learned from a young age that no one was going to fight for me as hard as I did.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that must have been so scary and such a crazy moment. Looking back on it, do you feel like you're in such a different place now, or does that still feel like a recent memory?
I feel like that subconscious will always be in my mind, keeping me to fight for the next thing that I want in this world. But I'm very grateful for where I am now. I've worked really hard, and I can just, if anything, be proud of the steps that I took to become this person today and no longer have the life that Tammy was.
And it shows. How did that impact your relationship with your family, and what is your relationship like with your family?
Oh man, I feel like it was very, very rocky for a long time. Family is a very sensitive topic for me, but I chose to repair the relationships with my family, even though I did not have to. But that's about choosing the people that you love and what you fight for. Even though they hurt you, they did hurt me a lot, but having them in my life was more important to me than having this grudge. It was just a waste of energy, even though it was terrible things that they've done. I just don't think that my energy was well spent, hating my family. It was better spent repairing the relationships.
Totally hear that. And what was that like? I'm sure you had so many hard conversations. Do you remember getting up the courage to talk to your family about these things? What were those conversations like?
Definitely tough conversations, but we're still working on it even to this day, I went from not speaking to any of my parents to now my dad's my business partner. We flip houses together, and my mom, she's one of my best friends, and we talk often. It's just the parental-child relationship is definitely diminished, but what I could build on is the relationship between my adult life and them being my family member.
Wow. That's amazing. Tammy, what other things do you know now that you wish you knew then when you were sleeping on the floor in that house wondering where your mom was? What do you know now?
Oh man, I know that, if you want things in this, I knew the life that I deserved in that moment. I remember laying there and this is not the life that I deserved. So I fought for everything. Blood, sweat, and tears, worked 3 jobs since I was 16 to have the life that I have now, and it all pays off because I know that God is always guiding you. I know that you're always guiding yourself. And what you want in this world, you can 100% get if you work hard for it. Put it out there, the mentality, the work, the manifestation, everything. It will create the life that you've wanted.
It's beautiful. And I know you're someone who is a self-proclaimed multi-hyphenate. You do so many things. I oftentimes hear that women can't have it all. We can't do it all and do all the things, but you are someone who proves that we can. What would you say to someone who really believes that women can't do all of these things in their professional life and find a partner and all the things?
I think that you are the number one person that's standing in your way. If you truly wanted it, you would make time for it. I have 6 jobs and I'm working on my love life. That's why I've gone on The Bachelor, in paradise. But I don't know, I feel like I've tried to fight against the male stigma in this world so much that I don't believe that women shouldn't have anything. I think we are capable of having everything that we want. I'm literally the 3 things that this whole society has proven me and prepared me to fail at. I'm literally a Asian woman, millennial. 3 things that the world was like, you're not supposed to have the best life. And I fought through those things and I became successful at every field in my career path. I did the things that I ever dreamed of, and I am the person that I want to become. And I slowly every day I'm fighting for building that person that I want to become more and more every day.
And I know you attribute so much of that to your hard work, right? Like, you are out there, you are a go-getter. Do you also attribute any of where you are today to luck or any other outside factors?
I do not believe in luck. I think that I'm very religious. I think that God is always guiding you on your path, but you have to put the work in. And everything that I have now is because I put the work in. Nothing was given to me, nothing was luck. And I'd rather have it that way. I feel like the things that I have are worth more because I worked really hard for them.
Totally. And I know you've been through a lot. I mean, being someone who goes on a reality TV show, you are out there for the world to consume. And I know you've received some not so nice comments and messages on social media over the years. How has that impacted your mental health and how you view the world?
I think that anyone that says that they try to cut it out completely, the hate, is lying to you, because I'm a very tough person. If you told me you hated me, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But it is a new level when it's social media, because you start to believe what they tell you, because it's so at such a volume. When I got off The Bachelor the first time, the hate was so unreal. I had to take a day off from work, and I would never call off from work. But my mental health was not in a stable place. I really had to let myself be upset. And then, you know what? The next day, I'm this badass bitch. Let's carry on. You're going to keep fighting through this because these people are not going to bring you down. So many people have tried to drag you down and you refuse to, so why stop now?
How do you pull yourself out of those moments, though? Because it can get dark and isolating and lonely.
Yeah, it can get really dark. I mean, you surround yourself with people that support you and love you. I mean, you've been there since, day one with me, and you've heard all the stories. Just having those relationships really, really matter. I think it's okay to let yourself be upset. It's okay to let yourself dip into that dark place, because you'll know, and then realize that you need to lift yourself back up.
And you've been there for me too. I'm so grateful for your friendship, and so much of what I admire about you is the ability to essentially have confidence in who you are and have that thick skin that will allow you to keep going no matter what. And I'd be curious to know, if you had a time machine and you could go back and relive your time on the show, is there anything you would change or do differently? Kind of seeing some of the backlash you've gotten or the way people have reacted, does any part of you wish you could change the narrative?
I mean, the narrative is not always controlled 100% by me, so there are some things that I would try to change, but in the end, I mean, whatever's gonna be is gonna be, and it's all whatever's meant to happen is gonna happen, Did the backlash really hurt? Absolutely. Was I happy to go through it? No, but I'm happy that I did, because it made me so much more tough. And now that if I ever experience that again, I wouldn't be as hurt as I did before.
And if you could wave a magic wand and change something about the Bachelor franchise, what would you change?
I really, really wish that the fan base would be less toxic and more open to wanting the diversity, because they all scream and yell that they want diversity, but if you look at the numbers, they're not following people of color on social media and supporting their projects and supporting them. They gravitate towards the Caucasian ones like they've always done. So if you want to make a change, you have to put action and not just scream about it.
And do you think a move like removing Chris Harrison from the show was a positive step towards, where you would want the show to be?
I have no idea about that yet, because it's so new. I don't know what it's like. I don't know if people are not watching because of that, and if it's going to redirect and overcorrect itself into something better. But only time will tell. I think that definitely he was definitely in the wrong. I wish they did more work with him I think it would be stronger for us to see his progress rather than just cutting him loose.
For sure. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Cancel culture is a very tough topic, but a part of me wishes that he would have been able to have conversations like this and have to face the reality of his words, and actually see him learn and grow.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you saying that. And now you're on to so many other amazing projects, and so much of your life is online. Do you ever feel like there's a piece of yourself you wish you just saved for you, or vice versa? Do you feel like there's something that you share that maybe, is hard for you to open up about? How do you reconcile your public platform?
I think that everyone has something to share that will impact other people, and I think I'm very open with letting the world in on my life, but there are a lot of things in my life that people don't know about, like family was a hard one for me to really release out there, and it still is, but I'm working on it slowly, because I do want people to understand what it's like. And when I do talk about my family online, on social media, a lot of people will message me saying that they relate to the same thing, they've experienced the same things, and those where I feel a community is being built, because I'm not the only one that has a messed up family. I'm not the only one that came from a broken family and was kicked out and not supported by their family. So having this community and supporting each other really helps, because that's already happened. We can't go back and make our family support us in our child years. It's already been done.
Right, and community is everything.
Right.
So it's amazing to hear that you found that and built that for yourself. Do you ever feel a pressure to be a perfect version of yourself, or to display a certain side of yourself on social media?
I mean, with Instagram, I feel like it's just a highlight reel anyways. I think that with the other platforms out there like Twitter or TikTok, you can really show your personality and show that not everything is always perfect, I'm not gonna be wearing makeup all the time. I'm not this, pretty picture all the time. And I think that showing your personality out there really will get a feel of getting people to be closer to you and building a community.
Do you think it's possible for someone to be truly 100% authentically themselves on social media?
I think because of the limits of social media, you can't see a person 100% all the time. So there's no way, even if we wanted to. I don't feel the need to have this facade out there. I think I am who I am. I say what I say, and sometimes it comes to bite me in the butt, because I say things that are too controversial sometimes, but those are the ways that I feel. As long as you stay true to yourself, people will be able to smell out the bullshit.
Yeah, and it's important to open up about the things that you're struggling about. I mean, we just saw with Miss USA, right? Like, you never know what someone is going through behind the scenes. Have you ever, struggled with your personal mental health, completely offline and away from people? Or when you struggle, have you been able to open up about your mental health to others?
I feel like opening my mental health issues with my friends and family, people who are close to me in real life, are more important than it is online at this point, because I just don't know how to balance out what I should say online regarding that very sensitive topic. You know, because again, social media is a highlight reel, and we didn't even know that Miss USA was even struggling because she looked so perfect online. But like when you have real conversations like we have, that's when you get to open up to someone and know if they are struggling, be a support system for them, you know, be a friend. I think that's more important than having it shown online.
Completely.
Some things are just meant to be offline.
Yeah. And I appreciate how open you are again about all of these different things you're passionate about and your own identity. And I want to talk a little bit more about the Asian part of your identity. I know that in Asian culture, there are a lot of expectations and preconceived notions about needing to have a certain career path or, you know, other stereotypes within your culture that I may even have in mind being a Jewish person. And I just want to know, are there any other pieces of your Asian identity that you've struggled with for a need to feel like you ascribe or subscribe to certain parts of Asian culture?
My family luckily is very westernized, but I do feel sometimes when I have conversations with my dad, especially, like women are supposed to be submissive. They're supposed to be the housekeeper, you know, the child caretaker. We're not supposed to be the breadwinner. And for me, I am the breadwinner, you know? So I try to fight those norms because just because I'm Asian doesn't mean that I can't be who I am as a person, true to my core, you know?
Yeah, and are there pieces on the flip side that you do feel like you connect with or identify with within, you know, your Asian culture that you do want to subscribe to?
I think that having, in Asian cultures, family is extremely important, the loyalty to family, and I think I've really adapted that because my story with my family was not picture perfect, but I chose to keep them in my life, repair those relationships. So I love that part because that's about having community too. You know, as I know they weren't supportive during my child years, but building what I can now is what the best I can do.
Totally. And thinking about all the things you've experienced in the course of your life, how has that made you think about how you want to build a life for yourself? You know, experiencing turmoil within your own family, has that led you to want to create a different family structure? How has that impacted your future?
I think about that a lot, especially with dating, because I want to build a family that is very supportive of each other, because I never had that. I want to make sure that even though I work really hard, I want to be there for the important moments in my children's lives, be there for birthdays, for graduations, because my parents weren't. You know, so that's a huge thing for me. I think that when I do get married, that's it. There's no going back. We work through everything. Sorry, too bad. You know, like we're gonna work through it. I've gone through tougher with my family and we've rebuilt that relationship. I think it's very doable. I just think of loyalty is very, very important.
I love that. And I can't wait to see how you bring that into your future life. And how do you also think about relationships? I mean, coming from a dating show, has that changed the way in which you approach dating, both on and off the show?
If anything, it made me just a little bit more into my feminine side, because I'm this masculine alpha female and I do this, that, I don't need a man, but I want a man. And it's just like, you have to feed into, you know, it's okay to let a guy do things for you, you know, like, you don't have to do everything for him. And I felt like that's a huge part that people don't talk about, because it's like, we want to be this strong, dominant woman, which I am, but it's okay to have the balance between your femininity too, because that's just the dynamic that helps in any relationship.
Right.
You know, between any genders. There's always going to be that female-male dominance and leisure between both.
Totally. And I appreciate you bringing that up. I mean, I feel like we've touched on so many different parts of who you are, where you've come from, where you are now. When you think back on your life, are there any other pivotal moments or turning points that have contributed to your unique point of view on the world today?
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like I'm always learning. This is why I like having conversations with people who don't see eye to eye with me. I want to know why you think that way, because maybe you're going to open up something that I never thought of and I always shut out. You know, especially with like politics.
Yeah.
You know, I really find myself more in the middle because I was so one-sided at one point in my life because I was so shut out from hearing what the other opinion is. But the beauty of having conversations is being able to have uncomfortable conversations, because we're all different people. We're not going to have the same opinions. And I want to know why this person thinks a certain way. and maybe it'll help open up a part that I shut out.
That's awesome. And do you feel like you're able to have friends and relationships in your life with people who believe differently than you do?
Absolutely. All of my friends definitely are very different from each other, but we come to a common ground and respect each other that much to have hard conversations, even though we think of two different points of view.
That's awesome. And I wish that was something that more people did, right? At the end of the day, we're all human beings. And the fact that you're able to have friendships with people who have different views can help you grow.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know, Tammy, at this point in your life, with other young people out there struggling with navigating the world, whether it be feeling pressure to subscribe to a certain piece of their identity within those boxes and norms, or, submitting to traditional gender roles, or feeling the pressure to, only do one thing and do one thing well instead of doing all the things they're passionate about. What advice would you have for a young person who's really going through it right now?
If you want to do it, just do it. You are the only person that's stopping you from doing anything. I think you have 90% control of your life, and if you want it bad enough, you will do everything that you can.
I love that. And when it comes to opening up about hard topics, being public about it, taking a stance, even posting about different issues on social media, what advice would you have to a young person that hasn't quite found their voice?
I think finding your voice in controversial topics, especially, you should really surround yourself with people that will always support you, be your friend first. I think having a controversial topic conversation with a stranger is going to open up a basket that you weren't prepared for, and you want to be in a safe zone when you have these hard conversations.
All right, Tammy, so this is the part of our show where we bring in other POVs from the Gen Z community so you can share your opinion. We want to hear your reactions to these perspectives, so share whatever is on your mind. Keep an eye on your phone, and we'll start sending you some messages.
Okay.
Let's do it.
People who go on The Bachelor or Bachelorette aren't really there to find love. They are there to get a social media platform. Ooh.
That's spicy.
The wrong reasons and the right reasons conversation, right? I was known in my season for being the right reasons police, because I would always try to sniff out the BS. We are on a TV show, and at some point we all know the territory. We're here to, build a brand for ourselves, but I think the core reason should be to find love, because people will be able to find and sniff out that you are just BS. And you don't want that. That's not even the core base of that you want to build your brand, if you want to build a brand.
Right.
I really went on the show because I'm so busy. I had 6 jobs. I refused to let go of one of them to start opening up more time to date. And with The Bachelor, you really had to let go of your phone. You didn't have access to anything outside the world, and you really had to be very present. And for me, I wasn't very present in any of my relationships, which is why I think none of them really stuck. So I really gave this a shot, and I really put myself out there, especially on Paradise. It was a couple weeks of filming, but I had no access to my phone, and I really was able to enhance and build a relationship faster than you would in the real life, because you don't have any distractions.
Totally. And how do you know if someone is there for the right reasons or the wrong reasons?
You'll know. Oh, you'll know, because people can put on a face, but their true colors will always show because you're with them 24/7. So.
And do you think there's anyone who goes on the show who isn't there for a platform?
I think to some extent, everyone is there to build a platform to some extent, even if it's just a little bit, It's a TV show. Right. We have to keep that in mind and be realistic about that. I know that people don't want to admit that, but you got mic'd up every morning for what?
I appreciate you saying it how it is. I mean, now it's good to know that when you know.
Yeah.
Like someone's either there for the right or the wrong reasons.
Right.
Okay, let's see.
Reality TV only casts people with different ethnicities so they don't get canceled, not because they think diversity on screen is important. Oh, I think that's a tough topic always. I think diversity is so important, but is it going to be like a sorority situation where they're just trying to tick off the diversity boxes in that season? I truly want to believe to my core that they do believe that different people can bring different things to the table. In the Bachelor franchise, I really side with the franchise on this, and people will be so surprised coming from an Asian woman, because I really think that the power is in the fans' hands, and they don't take enough responsibility on that, and they just like to blame this franchise. They're casting people, They're trying their hardest. If people aren't signing up or getting nominated for the show, how can they cast them if they don't know they exist?
Right.
And why would they show these people and these stories if the fans only gravitate towards the Caucasian ones anyways? You have to keep in mind this is a business. It's a TV show. They have production to be done every single day, and they're not going to produce something out there that no one wants to see. And that's really a tough pill to swallow because I want to have the audience be more open and willing to let people who look like me, people who don't look like the typical Bachelor cookie cutter girl in. And that's where we first start with this, to see change.
And not a lot of people realize that it's equally on the audience.
Absolutely. If anything, it's more heavily weighted on the audience.
But let me ask you this. This could be another hot take, but do you think that perspective saying that, companies and franchises are so afraid of being canceled that they decide to add more representation, do you think that's ultimately a good thing because they're casting people of diverse backgrounds, or do you think it's not positive all around?
I think people are focusing on the wrong thing here. If they are doing it because they don't want to be canceled, here's the thing that I see of it. They are casting more diverse people, period. Whatever the reason may be, I think that itself is so powerful. Just get it out there, get the people out there. That's where we can first start. I was not supposed to make it as far as I did, being on a Caucasian show. And then COVID hit and the Stop Asian Hate hit and the Black Lives Matter hit, and it really opened their eyes like, you know what? Let's cast more diverse people because it means a lot more having different stories, different backgrounds bring to the table. Being a real estate agent is a career cop-out. Anyone can do that. Oh, man.
What are your thoughts?
You know what's funny is that my dad says the same thing. He says I'm a middleman job. Here's the thing.
Let Tammy's dad into our community.
It's funny because couldn't anyone do anything? You think that sales is easy, then you do it. Then why do 50%, I think 50% or more people who get their real estate license end up failing in their career of real estate because they can't handle it.
Yeah.
A job is a job meant for this person if you can handle it, no matter what the aspect is. I don't think I could ever be in your position having this job.
I mean, you could. You're such a natural conversationalist, but I hear you. I mean, it's so hard being a real estate agent. You have to essentially go out and build opportunities for yourself.
Yeah.
And
you work for yourself. So if you want to get paid, you really have to hustle. And nothing was given to me. I don't get these leads for free. I have to work hard. I have to represent myself as a brand, make sure that I'm a respectful professional. And being a woman, it's also very scary because it's like, you don't want random guys, like seeing a house and then kidnapping you. It's a huge thing that people don't talk about. It's like, just because I'm a pretty face doesn't mean that I'm a good real estate agent. I'm a good real estate agent because I'm knowledgeable, I'm professional, and I work hard for my clients. We shouldn't judge people who are on reality shows because we don't know what is actually going on behind the scenes, and producers will purposely give them a bad edit to push their storyline and cause drama. Now, I always hear people online saying like, this person got the villain edit, this person blah, blah, blah. It's like, we have to at some point take responsibility for the words that we say and the actions that we do. Is it heightened from production? Absolutely, it's a TV show. But are you a perfect person? Am I a perfect person? No, we all have our bad days. We all do bad things, but that's what we learn from. Nobody woke up in this world one day and just was only a good person.
Right.
In every aspect of every world. You've had a bad day, lashed out on a cashier at a grocery store before. We've all done it. And I think that we shouldn't judge people off of the moments that we see them on TV until we really get to know them. Things that are like red flags that are true to your personality are some people, I won't say who, in the franchise that are truly bad people, because they do this not only on the show, but they did it outside of the show too, on social media, in real life.
Right.
And that, how could you make an excuse for someone that people have seen 3 versions of you of?
Right. And I'm sure you had so many moments on camera that didn't get displayed. Do you feel like the edit you got on, both of your seasons were accurate to who you are?
People ask me this question a lot, and they say it's controversial that I say yes, but at some snippet of the first show, all I saw was this person who refused to back down, fights for what she wanted, and will never be undermined in any way. And that's who I was. Was it in a situation that got sticky and was very confusing? Absolutely. But we've worked out those kinks, repair those relationships, and that's what matters, because not everybody that was there was a perfect person either.
Totally. And what an important perspective too, that what you were doing was empowering. It doesn't always have to be viewed as a negative thing. You were being who you are, you were standing up for what you believe in, and it's an important perspective to remember.
I agree. Tammy needs to be the next Bachelorette and have her own real estate show on HGTV.
I mean, I'm not gonna refute that.
That makes me want to cry almost, because having people support me really is a huge thing of why I wanted to have a platform. And I think that I give so many perspectives to this world that are so different from what you normally see on reality TV. So I appreciate whoever sent that, just knowing that they support me, and we'll see what the world is meant for me, and we'll go from there.
I'm gonna cry too. Like, Tammy, you have the biggest heart of anyone I know, and you've just inspired so many. I mean, I look up to you in so many ways, and how all you want is to make the world a better place and increase representation and show young women and people of all backgrounds that it's possible. You can build that life for yourself. And so I just want you to know you are having such an impact on so many people.
God,
I know, me too. I just appreciate you so much for all that you do for me and for so many others, and for being here to tell your story today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for always being a supporter. I think it means a lot. Our friendship means a lot to me.
Come here.
I love you.